Intro video. All right, I might be live now. Yo, D Will, what's up, brother? How you doing, brother? We are live, I
Good.
believe.
Yeah. Good to talk to you again, man.
Yeah, man. Long time no talk. Thank you for joining the stream. It says reception's weak on my end, but I'll do a quick test on
Japanese are getting
YouTube.
rarer. I know
I
this
always
is not
do
the
this test. I know it's annoying, but until we have an official tech way, man, there's an ad when I'm playing it, trying to see where's the skip ad part. All right, I hear it. Can you say something? All
Yeah.
right.
Can you hear me?
All right. Anyway, yeah, I can hear you. All right. All right. Yeah, man. So, how's it going over there? You're in Canada now, still, right?
Yeah, everything is
How's the
good
weather?
over here. I mean, the political issues are heating up. Our prime
Mm.
minister resigned. Everything is up in the air right now.
Oh, wow. Tell me more about that. What's happening with that?
Well, Trump is making his threats, calling Canada the 51st state, right?
Right. Well, I mean, I've been trying to. My own life has been a little crazy recently in Japan, so I don't know too much about it. The thing I know is that he's been doing the tariffs thing. But yeah, man. I guess, but overall, life over there in Canada is probably the same as America right now, right?
Yeah, it's just a little tougher over here. I mean, the way we're so heavy on the carbon tax and the social issues and not so much the economic issues. It's
Right.
a little different, right?
All right. So I guess so we're gonna play this video about what life is like for Americans, and I guess American life is similar enough to Canadian, so you should be able to like this. This is from, let's see, this is from Takashi. He's got like a bunch of subscribers. I met him on the street a few times. He just interviews people. I'll share the links afterwards in the afterplay. Everyone knows I'm more used to walking the street and just hitting that play button on my phone rather than doing live streams from here. So we're gonna play. Feel free to interrupt or like I don't think you have the ability to stop the video since it's on my side, but feel free to interject when you have any questions. D will and then anybody else as well. I guess I'll share the stream yard. Well, that's not it. All right, so let's play. You ready? Ready to hear what these
Yeah,
people
for
have to
sure.
say? All right, let's play it.
But I grew up in Virginia near the DMV area.
Oh snap! All right, let's go back a little.
Dead. I don't have to worry about getting shot. Most likely going to go back to the
Wait, did you
States.
hear what she said?
Yeah,
She said,
that's
wait,
America, man.
that this is America. All right, let me play back from the
Exactly.
beginning.
I'm from Oakland, California. I've been in Japan for 17 years, so a long time.
It was 4 o'clock in the morning. Like I could never do that in America and feel.
By the way, for people watching this, I'll post a comment myself. If you want the volume adjusted, just let us know. How's it sound to you? Okay, just let me know if
Perfect.
it changes, brother. Okay, with the volume for you too.
Safe.
6'3" black man living in Japan.
I'm from Oakland, California. I've been in Japan for 17 years, so a long time.
It was 4 o'clock in the morning. Like I could never do that in America and feel safe.
6'3" black man living in Japan. If the police stop me here and ask to see my resident card,
I feel better taken care of in Japan. I don't have to worry about going into medical debt. I don't have to worry about getting shot.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I gotta stop that right there. So she said that she doesn't have to worry about getting into medical debt. She doesn't have to worry about getting shot. I think there's levels to this. Now I may have said this before. I don't know if you know. So I don't know, man. Like I've gone like a large period of my life going around just thinking like everyone is super healthy. But like finally I realized like probably at least 20 to 40% of the world, like people might look healthy, but like everyone's got some medical conditions. Are you aware of that? Are you aware of like how many people are walking around taking medication, Debo?
Of course. And I think that the medications are overprescribed as well.
Hmm.
I think that a lot of these medical issues can be fixed by diet and exercise,
Hmm.
but people would rather go see a doctor and a therapist,
Hmm. All right,
right?
interesting.
And I know, like, this is a controversial subject, but in my opinion, doctors don't get paid to keep you healthy. They get paid to keep you sick. You know what
Right,
I mean?
right. That makes sense. All right. Let's play this is the intro.
Most likely gonna go back to the States. I want to stay, but
You speak Japanese, right?
Oh yes,
Okay.
I'm pretty fluent.
Like, how did you learn? Because you've only been in Japan for 1 year or something, right?
If you're like broke and in America and you've always wanted to come to Japan like I did, I have really good practical advice to lock in.
All right, we're gonna skip this intro.
Florida,
You're
I've
ready.
been living in Japan for 4 months. I've been traveling here for 7 years. And for business, I run a consulting agency in Tokyo called Hanami Social.
Hi, my name is Imri. I've lived in Japan for 10 years now. I'm from Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've also lived in Dallas, Texas, and Springfield, Missouri. And I'm a product designer here in Japan.
I am from Norfolk, Virginia, and I am a photographer here in Tokyo. And
So what I will say while just watching this D Will is I notice a lot of the people seem sort of established.
Exactly.
So,
They're all business people.
yeah, like their jobs. So like I think for these people, it's living in Japan is almost like living in America, but with lower prices. So I'll share a story for you. So like yesterday, I got some fish and chips, but I bought it with my credit card instead of cash because I wanted to make a new purchase on my card since getting it. And I looked it up in USD and my fish and chips. So in Japanese yen, it would have been something like, the yen used to be 1 yen to a dollar, or $1 equals 100 yen. So, but like
Yeah.
it's less than $5. It was like 4.99 when I looked at the cost in USD, and in Japanese yen it was 741 yen.
Oh wow, not bad.
So like for these people, they're just living in cheap mode and saving more money. And sometimes you get paid in the country that you're in. So for example, I have friends in Colombia and other countries. They downgrade their salary way less than it would be in America because they're living in a country where the living expenses are less. But I have a feeling in Japan it's not really the case based on the videos I've watched and the people I've talked to and the people I know in real life living here in Japan. But let's continue with the video, I guess.
Yeah, I just want to say too, it's a lot different for us here in Canada. I mean, the exchange rate for Japanese yen is still 1 to 100. So our currency is a little bit weaker than what you had in the
Oh,
US.
wow. So you didn't really
Yeah,
feel that power as much when you came to Japan when we were hanging out?
exactly. Exactly. So yeah, we go through a lot of like the geopolitical issues and the currency issues. Like we're feeling it in Canada.
Mm,
Yeah. Like we are taxed to death.
wow.
So
Okay.
a lot of what you're talking about in this video is gonna apply to Canadians more than Americans because a lot of Canadians are leaving Canada.
Where are
And
they
it's
where are they typically going to when they leave Canada?
they're going to
The
America or they're going
there's
back home.
so many Japanese girls that want to move to Canada.
It's a beautiful place and we have free healthcare, but at the same time, like you get here and you realize how much taxes you have to pay. It's unsustainable. The housing cost is just like double or triple what you're used to, right?
Yeah, I think the answer is just find a way to make money, man. The one thing I will say about finding a way to make money, and we were talking about it earlier before we started this live stream today, D Will, is that people spend their whole life working, man. Be careful, guys. Like, I was talking to young James about this before I did the video with him. And after the video, maybe, but definitely before that. Because he's a very hardworking dude. He's another young guy here, working hard on YouTube, etc. He's got a bunch of subs. He's having success. But I noticed with my own self, when I'm working, that's not living life, Like you working, you're making a lot of money, and on top of it, you're investing. But to you, is that the most important thing to you, or is it like hanging out with, like, enjoying your time with people you like enjoying your time with? I think that's like, what you want to have. And I think
You,
it's
you need a
unfortunate,
balance,
right?
in my opinion, because if you spend all your time working, then you're not living, right? You're not gonna have memories or anything like that to look back on.
Right.
But also, if you spend all your time, drinking, having fun, or doing whatever you like to do, then you're not going to set yourself up for the future, right? So,
Right.
from my perspective, and what I try to do for my life is I want to sacrifice a little bit now so that I can have fun and later in life, if that
Mm.
makes sense.
But at the same time,
And
like, oh, go ahead.
and for me, like I want to also travel as well, right? So for me, that sacrifice is moving out of the big city and living somewhere where I can make more money and then
Mm.
travel to places like Japan or Colombia or you know South America, somewhere like that.
But I think you still have time to like smell the roses like during the week, right? It's not just like work, go to sleep, pass out, right?
Yeah, of course. Go to the gym, make yourself feel better, right?
Right, right, right. And then have a
Yeah, I
social
stopped drinking.
meeting or
Stopped
something,
drinking a little bit,
right?
because
Well, yeah.
drinking is like it's too much. If you drink too much, then you're just gonna be,
Oh, you
you
said
know,
stop drinking a little bit. Is that what you said?
yeah, yeah. For me anyway, because I'm in my 30s now, so
Right.
I slow it down a lot.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm not. I know in Japan, that's all they do is drink. I'm curious to hear what the rest of the folks have to say here. I guess I wonder if they bring that up. But so far, like if they keep just talking about their jobs, I'm curious to see why they like living in Japan. So it's good points, brother. It's good points. Well said. Keep a balance. That's your message, right?
Yeah,
All right, cool, cool, cool. All right, let's play.
And a creative producer.
Um,
And I have been here for 14 years.
I'm from Oahu, Hawaii. I've been in Japan for about almost 3 years now.
Mm.
And I'm here studying as a student.
I'm from Oakland, California. I've been in Japan for 17 years. So
Wow, they got a nice mix. Some people 3 years, 14 years, 17 years. These people love Japan. Yeah, that's one thing I'll say. Like once you, by the way, D Will, from your visit, well, I'll say before I ask the question. Once people come here, they seem to not go back. Some of them, or if they do go back, they go back in 5 years. They can only stay for 5 years. That's the max. But what about you? Could you ever see yourself living in Japan after visiting here? D Will.
of course. I think I like it more than I like Canada.
Why is that? You might have shared on the last stream, but it's been a while since we spoke. A lot of info in and out of my head.
From my opinion, I think Japan is more welcoming than Canada is.
Interesting.
Like,
Why do you say that? Elaborate.
like your differences isn't um isn't like a big deal. You know what I mean? Like where you're from, skin color, this, that, and everything.
Oh, I
People
see.
aren't so much worried about that as opposed to Canada.
Right. And then for the viewers, which parts of Japan did you visit besides Tokyo or just Tokyo?
Yeah, I was only there for a week, so I just spent
Mm.
my time in Tokyo, Roppongi,
Mm.
Shinjuku, Shibuya, Harajuku.
Hmm. By the way, quickly, I'll just say, so on yesterday's live stream, I ended up talking to some people. I think they initially stepped on my shoe. I forget. We'd have to check the live stream. But basically they're from Taiwan, and he was giving a good message. If you could visit, if the next vacation you have a month, and this is why like getting your money right is part of it, right? Because everyone knows it's not $100 to fly to America for a visit, and I do recommend you visit before living here. Like you saw, D Will. By the way, would you recommend people if they did live here to get their Japanese language up?
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very difficult without knowing Japanese.
Right, exactly. So yeah, these foreigners, I don't know if he's gonna ask them about it, but I'm pretty sure their Japanese is pretty good. But what I was gonna say is if you do want to, if any of you guys watching on the replay or right now, because no one's really chatting in the chat that I see, if any of you guys do visit Japan for your, I would recommend, and if you have the time, if your schedule allows you, if you have a month, and you can put in the chat so I know like who I'm, like the audience of you guys. You come to Japan for a week, a month. If you come here for a month, you can visit Japan. Well, you can do a full trip in Japan. You can do Kyoto, Osaka, Tokyo, etc. Or what you could really do is you can do Japan and Taiwan and Philippines and Korea while you're there, because all of these places are pretty close by, within an hour to 4 hours, depending on the country. You can kind of get like a little taste of everywhere. Have you visited any of those other 3 countries that I mentioned, D. Will?
Yeah, I've been to the Philippines,
How was it?
not Korea though. Philippines is
It's-
amazing. I
Why
live
is
like a
that?
king out there because
Well,
the
what was it?
Philippine peso is just so low, right?
How did you live like a king out there in the Philippines?
The goods and services, like it's so cheap.
Hmm,
So if you're going to get a massage, you're going to eat, you're going to buy beer or whatever, anything, it's
right.
cheap. You're paying a fraction of the cost.
So exactly how much is that?
So like let's say you want to get a massage or you want to get a gym membership,
Mhm.
um,
Did you
you're
get a
gonna
gym membership
pay.
while you were out there?
I did. I was there for 6 weeks.
Oh, wow. All right. How much was your
Mm,
gym membership?
So I got a gym membership for $7.
Wait, for
Like yeah, like $7 Canadian, man. It was cheap,
wait, how much
and
was
it
the
was
food?
for it
Oh,
was
go
for a
ahead.
month. And
Jesus
then
Christ.
I was able to get 2 massages. I paid for myself and a friend of mine,
Right.
and it was $15
For 2 massages?
for two. And I mean, like they'll scrub your whole body down with the salt, and then you go shower and you come back, you get a Swedish massage, and they're rubbing your hands, your fingers, your toes, your scalp, everything. They rub your whole body down,
So how long is that massage? Like an hour or
like an hour and a half to two
for
hours.
for $8?
Yeah, it was amazing. I was blown away.
Holy mackerel. How good was the food over there in Philippines?
Food is amazing. I think there's a lot of rice.
Hmm.
There's a lot of pork as well,
Okay. Pork
and
is
you
really
know, yeah. So they eat like everything. It's good. My favorite was the barbecue pork ribs. Yeah,
Interesting.
so
So I have a
yeah, it was
question.
amazing.
I know you don't have your next trip planned, but the next time you visit Asia, would you go to Philippines, Japan, or both?
I don't know, maybe both.
Hmm.
We'll see.
Depending how much time you have, right?
Yeah, depending on what I'm in the mood for.
Yeah. I tell you, I would, since I'm living in Japan, I have luxury other people don't. I want to take the version of what he was talking about on yesterday's live stream and go to, since I'm already in Japan, just visit Taiwan, Philippines, Korea all in one trip.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. You should. I think you should. That would be a killer experience.
We'll see. A lot of random stuff pops up. All right, cool. We'll let this guy's been waiting to talk. Let's hit the play button.
A long time, and I do comedy. I do YouTube and social media and stuff like that.
For Japanese audience.
Yep, only for Japanese people. No,
Speaking Japanese.
Oh, he's fluent then, right? Jesus.
Oh yeah.
speaking of Japanese.
What did he say?
American-
16 years?
17 years in Japan. This guy,
17 years.
he's a regular.
Americans or English speakers won't get anything that I say. So
What brought you to Japan, and how difficult was moving to Japan?
So I always wanted to live in Japan since I was a little kid.
Hmm.
and I wanted to speak Japanese perfectly. But moving to Japan was relatively
This
easy.
guy's only been here for 4 months, by the way. It's crazy. He's from Florida.
I wanted to get here as soon as possible. So what I did was I signed up for like a cheap student visa, which can be extended up to 2 years. I came here
Wait a
4
minute.
months
I
ago.
gotta say something. So he said he signed up for. Oh, Sharky, what's up, brother? By the way, Sharky, can you let me know if you're hearing the video okay when it's playing? When I start playing again, I just stopped the video briefly because he said a cheap student visa, and I just want to add in that the visa might be cheap, but I don't know how cheap the. I don't think, and I'll make a stream about this later on. I don't think the English language colleges or whatever colleges that you need to go to for a student visa are cheap. I've looked into this myself because I've been visa hopping every single year, basically since coming to Japan because I wasn't happy with my first visa. And I will say it didn't look cheap to me, but cheap, pricing is relative. So, yeah, that's what I'll say for that. Let's play this guy. This guy I know here in Japan.
Japan was a long process. I mean, I've been here a few times, and every time I was hoping to just get here and find a job and get a visa, but it's not that simple. Another big challenge was the fact that I didn't have a college degree.
By the way, this guy is speaking facts on facts on facts. So if you do have a college degree, like in America, you can make a lot of money without a college degree. Probably Canada. Is that the same in Canada, D-Will?
Yeah, it is.
But then
Because you can own a business, you can do
exactly.
You can do a lot of peer-to-peer networking and show off your skills that way.
Right. Yeah, but then in Japan, they just respect the degrees so much, they're so formal. I think Japan is a little bit based in the 60s, still a great place to live. But you're stuck in it's like you're in an 80s movie when did you get this feel? I feel like it's hard to get this feel about Japan just from visiting. Did you get this feel like they were stuck in another era when you came to Japan, whether the future or the past? What's your thoughts on that, D-Will, when you visited?
I definitely seen the work culture, and I
Right.
seen that everybody's just addicted to work.
Right. And then
If
addicted to
that
alcohol
makes sense.
when they get off work.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
compared to Canada, have you ever seen so much alcohol when you went everywhere in your life as Japan? Or is it about the same? Like in the stores?
It's way different. The culture is way different. Because
Way hard, right?
here, here you don't really go out with your bosses after work. It's not common.
Right.
But in Japan, you see that all the time where they're drinking in their suit and tie.
But this guy's got a good story. I don't know if I'll say what he's doing now. I guess I could say. But let me hear what he says in the video.
You know him?
That's what a lot of
Yeah, I know him. He's been on some of my live streams. He hangs out in Shibuya. So during the walk and talks, if I'm going out on a Friday or Saturday night, you'll see his face. He'll give a what's up. Usually I'm giving him a pound. He's probably appeared in at least 5 live streams of mine. Actually, the other guy interviewing him as well too. He's a very serious dude. This YouTuber Takashi. I've come across him once or twice, a couple of times while he was out searching for people to interview.
His videos are professional.
Have you seen his videos before as well?
I've seen a couple. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's play. Actually, I think I've seen the other guy who's been here 17 years as well. I've come across him, I think.
Lawyers are looking for. So it took a while to get to this point, but yeah, that was one of the harder things.
How did you make it this time?
So during COVID, I knew I wasn't going to come to Japan because.
By the way, he mentioned lawyers. I would give the lawyers a 5 out of 10 stars. It really depends on what lawyer you have. Sometimes foreigners know more than the lawyers. So if you have legal questions, maybe stop by the hub or ask me or just ask the locals who've been in Japan for a while, because sometimes it's hard to get answers. It's hard to get a good lawyer, but that's everywhere, right? By the way, D-Will, you know about Jamaica a little bit, right?
Of course.
Yeah. I might do a stream with you later on, just to kind of pin this for a reminder. As I like to do some streams on Jamaica as well, but let's I'll hit the play button. We're not really. Let's go back to hear what the Americans are saying.
You know, there was no people coming in and out of Japan, so I decided to get my degree in digital cinematography.
Oh,
just for
snap.
the hopes of getting my visa. So
Whoa, he got his degree. It sounds like he's 1 year here. I like it where it says he's from Virginia.
that's the reason why I'm able to get my visa this time.
I decided.
Oh,
I switched from due dates to due dates, and it made me go
let
from
me
YouTube.
mute this video. Where's my skip button? Here we go.
Employment over here, and I got a job as an English teacher.
Whoa, 10 years in Japan. Oh, here's a real one. She's an English teacher, bro. There we go. Remember how we were saying everyone's so professional with their jobs?
Yeah.
There we go. We got an English teacher finally.
Sure. So the JET program is the Japanese English
But she's in it. You know what the JET program is?
No, what is that?
She's about to explain. Hopefully, if not, I'll explain it.
teaching program. It's a private program sanctioned by the government, I think. If that's if
official, yeah.
Official, right?
Yeah.
You got to have a degree, but it's also over before there was less ALT private
By the
company.
way, I will say I don't know who's watching, like what you guys look like, but basically, I've met a lot of people in the JET program, and they all look like her sister or her. Sorry to say, I don't know how else to say it. Like they hire a lot of people, and then from different countries, but they all look like her. So I don't know. I applied for the JET program and got rejected. So, take it with a grain of salt. These are just my thoughts, my experiences. I haven't met everybody in the program, but
Companies, basically being in the JET program was like the golden opportunity and the highest pay. So many
that is true. They do pay a lot. So if you guys want to move to Japan or Asia, like I see YouTubers, I mean, still feel free to like book your coaching calls, whatever, with me or other YouTubers. But like YouTubers be selling the dream. Like you can live fancy, you can like take girls off on expensive dates, vacations, off teaching English. I'll say it's the opposite. If you're teaching the JET program, yeah, you can save money, but other programs, you better come with a savings or you'll be begging to eat ramen. You'll be begging on the street for money. Guys, English teaching does not pay. I did sales before coming here, so it gives me a lot of leeway. I go back and forth with sales and then, trying out my other stuff. Sales pays money quick, but teaching does not. But there's levels to it. But yeah, like if you want to teach, you might have to go to Philippines or something. Japan, you'll be eating ramen and then hopefully getting donations from your parents or sugar mamas or sugar daddies, depending if you're a guy or a girl. Have you heard anything about English teaching, or am I preaching new facts for you? Is this the first time you're hearing about it?
Yeah, so when I do my research and when I speak to people while in Japan, I hear
Right.
that people, their first introduction to Japan is either a student visa so they can learn Japanese, or the visa for them to teach English in Japan.
I see. But did they talk about the money part much?
No.
I see. All right, but let's. I like the fact she's on here. Let's see. Maybe she'll prove me wrong. Let's see if she elaborates besides the JET program.
many people would apply. You have to write an essay. You have to go through multiple like interviews and things too. You have to show up usually outside of your city to interview in person as well on a panel of 3 judges, and the interview is quite serious. So that's why.
That's another thing that I will say annoying. I'll say it's annoying for life in general. The seriousness in Japan. You were talking about. I mean, I'm kind of surprised, D. Will, that you were talking about how serious the people were, even though you were just visiting. How were you able to get that read without actually working here while visiting here in Japan, in Tokyo?
So I explored a little bit in the daytime and as well in the nighttime, and in the daytime it's completely different, right? And I'm sure you know, and it depends where and what location or neighborhood you're in, where in the nighttime you can go out and people are enjoying themselves. You're gonna be able to introduce yourself to more and more people. But in the daytime, it's get out of my way. I'm going somewhere.
All right, exactly. And I know we hung out both in the daytime and the nighttime, D. Will. I forget. Were we hanging out on the week during the weekend during the daytime, or was it during the weekday?
Oh, I think it was during the weekday because I was only there for a week, right?
Did you get that vibe in Shinjuku when we were hanging out, walking around, like how people were about their business? Or I know Shinjuku is a little
Not so
different,
much in Shinjuku
right? Where did you?
because
What parts of Tokyo?
it's Roppongi.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Roppongi is big for that. All right. By the way, Sharky says there's another YouTuber in Japan with a lot of followers. He teaches Spanish instead of English. I'm curious. I'll have to look into that later, Sharky. I'm curious to see what he says about the pricing. Now, if you're teaching Spanish or another language, guys, you might be able to turn that into a business. There's a lot of subcultures. I know there's a Japanese girl here who speaks like English with an Indian accent. So you guys, you can make money, a lot of money in anything, like if you turn it into a business. But if you're just coming here as an employee or competing against other language teachers on one of those websites, I just don't think you're going to make that much for the stress, and unless you want to work 80 hours a week. Any thoughts on that, D Will, before we go back to this girl or her?
No, you can play the video. I think you got it.
Cool.
It's extremely competitive. So if you get into Jet, amazing. If you don't, that's cool too. There's plenty of other opportunities to get into Japan.
Moving here was actually fairly easy after I did the research and figured out how other people had gone through the process of getting here. I reached out to a friend who connected me with an American who was teaching at something called a Eikaiwa.
What is it?
All right, he's about to say, by the way, this guy, for reference, if you can't see from the video, guys, is 14 years in Japan from Virginia, Northport, Virginia.
And Eikaiwa basically is a English conversation school that many Japanese people will go to. They're usually near like a train station.
It's everywhere. Yeah.
It's everywhere. Yeah, it's very, very common here.
That's a good point. He said, by the way, guys, it is near a train station. I would say that might be the only redeeming point. If you ask me personally about Eikaiwas, is this the first time you heard about an Eikaiwa, D Will?
Yeah, I never heard it before.
Interesting. So we'll have him. He's talking pretty well on it, and he's actually working there, so he knows it better than me.
It was really easy because if you try to get a normal apartment, they're not going to let you get one because they don't trust, not just foreigners, they just don't trust anybody. But if you go to a place that's like made for foreigners, it's kind of cheap and it's not that hard to get. So, and you guys could all get it really easily.
By the way, I have a feeling, guys, because now don't get me wrong, guys, YouTubers typically don't make a lot of money. But when people say cheap on the internet, you know, when people say like rich person or they want to be rich or something, I always ask them to qualify, well, what is rich to you? Because cheap and rich and expensive, like these mean different things to different people depending on their economic situation or how they grew up. Would you agree with me on this, D-Will?
100%.
Yeah.
There's a big variety of people and where they are on their income status, right? Some people don't have to worry about money. Some people have to fly economy, and some people can charter a private jet.
Yeah. And then the other, so what I'll elaborate with what he's saying, because I have a feeling he's not going to go in this direction. I'll give him a chance afterwards, but I think they're going to skip past this part and just take him at his word. And it's not that he's telling his truth, but it's just not the truth for everyone. So let me just elaborate. Give me a second. I just realized I need to charge my laptop. Let me just make sure this plugs in. All right, it's charging. All right, so what he just said, for just in case there's people going in and out of the live stream, is that it's cheap. I believe that's what he said for foreigners, and he said foreigner only places. In my personal opinion, if you have the time and if you speak the Japanese enough, the past couple leases I've done in Japan, I've gone with 2 different Japanese agencies where they only speak Japanese. And you can use Google Translator for this, but they want you to speak some Japanese. I don't think he covered that part. What he's saying is true in that for foreigners, and this is a big thing, guys, because the title of this video, and he doesn't go into this video in this video, but I will, to kind of make it more well-rounded. I will never go. So the title is, I will never go back to the US living in Japan for Americans, right? So if you want to go from visiting here to living here, this is very important, because you can't live here in a box. And if you live here in a box, when it comes time to renew your visa, if they don't kick you out beforehand, if the police don't find you, and not to mention living in a box is probably uncomfortable. Wow, there's a lot to talk about here. You know what a net cafe is?
No.
All right. So if you've been watching my streams, and then Sharky says there's Rich and there's Jay-Z and Rihanna Rich. Exactly. By the way, Sharky, thank you for your mic. And then there's Rich enough, like you, D Will. I think you gave me a what do you call it? A super chat before. I know I've gotten gifts from people watching, so thank you guys, because YouTube advertising does not pay a lot. Jay-Z 2 billion, Rihanna 1.4 million. Exactly. So a net cafe. I've done a live stream. I can kind of, if you want me to find the live stream, we can go to that if you have time. If not, after you leave the stream, then I can go into it. But net cafe, people sleep in net cafes. Sometimes they bring their dates there. It's kind of like
yeah, I've seen somebody do that before. I've seen that from a random video.
Yeah, so actually, I think a couple days ago, Murat, he's a live streamer. He wanted me to check out a net cafe for a long time, but instead I checked it out for like 1 hour, and I ate there. They have free food there. Like, you could kind of be homeless and live in a net cafe. Did you go to Shinjuku at night, Debo?
Yeah, I did. Of course.
All right, so you know those girls with the signs, like 30 minutes for like 1,000 yen or something, all those girls dressed up, kind of scantily clothed, like they're actually living in the net cafes. And then the Japanese gangster, I think we call it Jakuza, or someone told me Hachi Ku Nana or something. There's like some kind of slang I can use because I don't want to say the word because they're pretty gangster. They basically control all the young girls. So basically, in a nutshell, and I'll explain this later in the stream from my understanding of it, even when it comes to dating, guys, and this is why you want to get your Japanese up, get your money up, get your options up, get your free time up, is like people think they have options, but they really don't. So basically, the cycle, from my opinion, is when it comes to the young girls in Japan up to the older girls, these are your choices of women, is the young girls can either go the college route. A few of them will go the entrepreneur route, but I like the hi-fi cafe, not a net cafe. Yeah, I wish I could pin that comment, Sharky. I don't know how to. Guys, you can look at the comments. Sharky is providing a lot of good information there. But so basically, the girls can go the college route, or the or kind of the furita, which is kind of like freelancer. Like, I think they have a word for this in America too. I don't know the name, but basically, that's it. Nito, no employment, no education route, and no training. That's what NEET stands for in Japan. I don't know if it's the same in America, but it's called Nito. No education, no employment, no training. Those are the girls that I talked to that appeared in some of my videos. And then you got the girls that go the Japanese version of, I don't know if they have this in Canada, but are you familiar with OF? So
yeah.
They have ways like Only Fools. I don't want to say the actual name for it. But basically, it's where girls share their videos of themselves a little like at home doing stuff their parents would not approve of for money. The Japanese version of that is the girls go to the city and they have sugar daddies, but instead of that, like the Japanese organized Japan gangsters that the government sort of somewhat vaguely, I will say there's a gray area, I won't say specifically, sort of works with in one way or another. We all work with each other. I don't want to say specifically. You just have to see or talk to them to find out. I've actually talked to them. They're very nice people, but you just don't want to get in the way of it. So basically, in a nutshell, like this is why, you know, guys on the internet say like talk to younger women, because you can't really, like, I used to, D Will, I don't know if I told you this, but I used to date a lot of older women. Like when I
Mhm.
was 18, like I dealt with younger women too when I was 18, but it was just a lot easier for me to get involved with the older women because the older women had their own apartments. Whether a girl was, like, when I say older, when I was 18, I would say to me older was, and it's still kind of older to me. 26 is older now. I don't consider 21 old, but when I was 18, I considered 21 old. But like, even though she was 21, which some people might think is young, she had her own apartment. The girls my age when I was 18, they were in dorms. I'd be making out with a girl and her roommate would like come in on us, right? Or like
Yeah,
I had
that's
roommates
no
too.
fun.
Yeah, so I think what made me gravitate towards the older women is whether I was in my dorm and I had roommates or whether I was in the girls' dorm. Like either my roommate would call or they would, like, it would be annoying. Roommates want to use their apartment, right? So you can't use your your apartment like a hotel if you got roommates, right? So,
Yeah.
but anyway, long story short is uh the girls who you see on the street are living in these net cafes, literally living there. The same way the live streamers live here while they're visiting Japan or Korea. I don't know if they have something like this in Korea. This is Passport Man, not Japan Passport Man, so we will cover other countries. That's why I asked D Will about Philippines. But yeah, so did you say you saw something like the net cafes when you were here, D Will? I'll ask you real quick before we go to the other topics.
No, I didn't see it, but I seen a video of some guy staying in one.
Ah, I see. Okay, cool, cool. And then I'll share the video maybe on this stream or another stream. I did live stream from a net cafe probably last year. Laughing out loud, Nito in Japan. And yeah, I'll put it in the chat. It's NEET and stands for and if you guys can guess what the acronym is, I'll continue playing the video.
You came here as a student first, right?
Yep, came here as a student, studied a year abroad first. It was an amazing experience, and I never really came back to the.
Oh, snap. So yeah, guys, come as a student, but like he says, and then another guy in the video, I think, said being a student is cheap too. I don't know. To be honest, I'm a little caught off guard. Maybe these people come from wealth or something. Like, dude, I've made six figures, but I still haven't lost my sense of what's cheap or not, at least from my perspective, what's cheap. In my opinion, a student visa is not cheap. He's the second guy, I think, that said that. Merc, what's up, brother? How you doing? Merc 89 in the house. Shout out to you.
How much is a student visa?
What's that?
How much is it for a student
All right, so
visa?
the student visa is cheap technically, but they're not talking about the cost of being a student. Like, all right, yeah, sure. A student visa is cheap, but I mean, you guys can research after if you want, or I can do a video. Put a one in the chat if you want me to do a video on the cost of various colleges. When I was living in Setagaya, when I first moved here, there was a college nearby, and I asked them how much the college was. It was affordable for me. Heck, even a business management visa was affordable for me. It's not now because I ran through my savings. That's why I had to go back to my sales job and then in Japan, Tokyo, which led me to Tokyo, which led me to running my savings again. But like, guys, it's not cheap. All right, let me just be specific. So you're looking at least 10,000 a year, at least on the cheap end, if you want to do a college program, or even like a Japanese language school, Japanese language college. And I'm air quoting this if you're seeing my small screen. It's not cheap, guys. The student visa is cheap, but like you're gonna have to get a loan or something, and it's hard to get a loan. There's more to it, but you know, shout out for them still sharing their experience. Mercs89 says Temple University trying to go there in the spring of next year. Yeah, I'm sure that's not crazy cheap, but yeah, guys, technically the student visa is cheap, but let me hear what this guy has to say because I talk a lot on my channel. Does that make sense, Debo? Before I let him play, or you
Yeah.
guys? Cool.
Yeah, I got it.
The States.
I have citizenship here, so I don't need to worry about visa. So I think I really lucked out on that.
Oh, yeah, she did luck out. She's from Virginia. 2 years in Japan. Oh, wow, she's got maybe she looks part Japanese. Let's see.
And it was really difficult when it came to finding an apartment, getting bank accounts, and all of that. So that was a really big surprise. I expected it to be a lot smoother than it was.
Wait, but you have Japanese passport and you speak Japanese, but it was hard because why?
Just because I didn't have a history of like living here. And when I came here, I still had not found a job. So on paper, I looked kind of sketchy. Like I was 22, no job. I did have a bachelor's degree from the States, but in general, I think it was just really difficult for me to be taken seriously as someone that's like trying to make a living here.
When you moved to Japan, what was the first culture shock?
That's surprising to me, D. Will. Is that surprising what she said or no?
Not really. I mean, it's all relative to her experience too, right?
Right. That's true. Makes sense. Oh, interesting. This guy's 14 years at Virginia.
That you have as American.
It is super safe here. Like I moved here from New York City.
Oh, snap. Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to hear what he has to say. It says Virginia on it's written in Virginia in small print, but he's from New York City like me. Let's see what he has to say because it is dangerous there.
And it's like super safe. Like I remember like going to like a coffee shop and I saw someone leave their keitai, like their cell phone, on the table and leave, and no one touched it.
By the way, he's got that old school Japanese. He said keitai. That's textbook Japanese. Keitai, huh? Do you know what keitai means?
No, I'm not familiar.
That's his cell phone, and I think he elaborated and said it's his cell phone. Interesting. So he left his cell phone and it didn't get stolen. But guys, I will say they do steal umbrellas and bikes. I've gotten my bicycle stolen my first week in Japan. So they do steal it, but it's still not dangerous. Just be careful with your bike here in Japan. But yeah, they're not going to steal your cell phone. I've left. Yeah. I want to hear the rest of his story.
And I, would see people with their computers like leave and go to the bathroom.
Woo! Yeah. It's very safe here. Did you get that feeling here, D. Will?
Yeah, I did. I mean, I wasn't there long enough, but I knew it was safe walking around 1, 2, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. And yeah, it was safe, man.
Yeah, and the girls are talking about that later in the video too. I want to hear more of his examples.
Or go outside and talk on the phone or something and come back and nobody really bothers your stuff. And at night, it's super safe for women to walk home alone. I noticed that a lot. Like I'd walk home at like 2 or 3 in the morning.
Guys, I will say, I mean, I'll let him finish, and D. Will, you can let me know your thoughts. But I think there's a trade-off to the safety. So I don't complain about Japan because I realize the trade-off. So even though I do have issues with Japan, it's offset by the safety. So like you're kind of paying for the safety with the rigid structuredness of Japan, and it can be annoying. I'll share a video, a ranting video, sort of like a Young James style video of my experience trying to get a second credit card here in Japan and like how they acted in the bank. But like, guys, it's super safe here. This is one of the biggest reasons that I'm here. Like I appreciate my sanity and stuff for this. I love Japan for the safety. I'll take that over the rigidness. I try to avoid formal talk. I gave up. I considered like working at a bank or doing sales in Japan, but I just quit because it's too rigid. But the flip side of the rigidness and the annoying parts is the safety, and it's huge out here. How did you feel about the safety here, D. Will? I don't know if I asked you.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing just to be able to walk around at night.
Yeah.
Not worry about where you're going, who you're with. You can meet all random people.
Oh, go ahead.
What's that?
Oh, yeah, random people. Do you remember the guy who was he homeless? I think he threw up on himself. Do you remember that guy when I was interviewing folks?
Yeah, he was a student.
Oh, he was a student? He just drank a lot that day?
Yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure you have footage of him.
Yeah, I do have footage. I'm gonna drop
I
another
know you
video.
do.
Title it. Yeah, I just didn't know, like, cause he had throw up on his shirt. I just didn't want to mess up like the vibe for that video. But I should
Oh yeah,
drop that footage, right?
you gotta do like an outtakes footage or bloopers
Right.
footage or just random footage of like random stuff that you see that you kind of cut out because it doesn't fit your vibe, you know?
Right. Were you shocked by by that guy? Were you shocked when you saw that as a Canadian?
No, no. I've seen lots of drunk people do stupid shit before.
Even in Canada?
Of course, everywhere, man.
Okay.
Alcohol is alcohol. It fucks
Right,
people
right,
up the
right.
same way.
Wow, crazy. By the way, we got a few people in the chat. I heard that Japan and China are having tensions, but I've only just heard Yugoslavia. Interesting. Yeah, everything's hearsay for me when it comes to politics. Sharky used to work for a company called Kila. They have an office. Interesting. I gotta look into that, Sharky. And then has a scene where Godzilla destroys. Interesting. All right. Yeah, I love this guy's interview. I'll go back to it. I know I'm the one who paused it, Debo.
And I'd see Women Alone also is in New York. You can't really drink that much and pass out, but people here, if you see someone passed out or sleep,
I will add, forget passed out. You can't in New York City, you can't even like D-Will, have you heard now that in the subway stations in New York City, you gotta have your back against the wall? Like now to avoid getting pushed?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I
And
think
even
we showed a video last stream about
yeah,
this.
you're right. Crazy.
in public, nobody's touching their watch. No one's touching their expensive bag. Like it's
Bro, that's uncomfortable. Can you imagine visiting a country or just living somewhere where you gotta be touching your watch or you don't wear it out in public? Because even in the well, I don't know. He might be talking a little too extreme. I was comfortable wearing a watch in New York. I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
I don't know
true.
what New York he's from, but well, some parts in New York, yeah, you gotta hold your
Yeah, I was watching this
Super
one video,
comparative.
right.
and this guy said that you have to be careful as a man traveling around some of these women because they could say, "Hey, this guy touched me inappropriately," and then you know what I mean. It's your word as a foreigner against hers.
Interesting. What country was that video talking about or based out of?
Japan.
Whoa. Dude, when you said Japan, my brain just got wiped with what you said. So repeat it one more time, just in case people are going in and out for the replay.
Yeah. So the guy was saying that some girls, like as a scam or whatever, they try to say that you touched them on the subway or
Whoa,
something to try
that's
and like say, "Give me money," or "I'll report you to the police."
you saw that on a video?
Yeah, I seen a video with somebody saying that.
Where in Japan is this?
I don't
Tokyo?
know. Has that ever happened to you or no?
No, that's super scary. Wow. Yeah, I
Yeah, it was
gotta
one of those videos of like scams to look out for in Japan. It's just a random video.
okay. Interesting. All right. I'll go back to my friend over here. I like his shirt.
The rest of Japan, it's big city, lots of people, and yet so many people, but everyone is kind of in their own lane, not really trying to socialize until you're in that environment. But in other countries, you can just anywhere kind of just spark a conversation. But it's also possible here, but the feeling is a little bit different where people that really don't want to interact make it clear.
Especially for Americans, I think, because when I went to the States for the first time, like I was so shocked that people started talking on the street, and that never happened in Japan.
Yeah,
So
that's why it's a big difference coming here and then having people that are like very close and like maybe you have some fashion thing that they might want to comment on, but they just won't say anything.
I think how annual holidays are celebrated, for example, Christmas. Well, Halloween's different too, but especially Christmas is very different than maybe, for example, the religious aspects taken out of it.
By the way, I will say I definitely do get the vibe that every one of these people, none of them have any interest in ever going back to America. Do you get that vibe?
Yeah. And why would they?
Do these these people? I mean, I'm trying to give you a good reason. Why would they want to go back to America? I don't know, guys. Let me know in the chat or in the comments in the replay why they'd want to go back to America. But because I like these people, I'm curious, and it's kind of a brain squeeze for me right now.
As well as the family aspect, it's more for couples. So it's kind of like a pre-Valentine's Day event. So
that's true. You know the word kuribotchi? Can you explain kuribotchi?
So kuribochi, basically, I've seen many restaurants and cafes saying, "Oh, if you're a couple, don't come in here. It's only really made for single people." On
Holy mackerel! Did you hear what she just said?
Yeah,
That's crazy.
which is it works because I mean Japan is it's lonely, right?
I guess so. But she's saying that the restaurant puts up a sign saying that for couples not to come into the restaurant. This is my first time hearing about this. Maybe because I'm usually doing something on Christmas or
Christmas. So like you're not making them feel worse about themselves. So it's kind of a safe space for single people.
all right. So she's talking about safe space cafes where single people don't feel bad. You know, like, do you remember when that girl came up to us or came up to me and I was trying to help her out when we were walking in Shibuya at night? When you know what
Oh
I'm talking
yeah,
about.
yeah.
Yeah. And I her English was good. I don't know if the drunkenness helped her with the English coming out. And then I sat her down so she could kind of sober up. Now apparently by the way, I heard afterwards that that's their way of kind of hitting on you. So I don't know how drunk she actually was. I think she was kind
She
of
wasn't that drunk, bro.
now
I
you
don't
realize
think so.
what's that? Why do you say that?
Because man, like she didn't. She walked up on us from behind,
Right.
and then all of a sudden, I'm falling
Oh, she's
down.
kinda
I'm bumping
acting
into
drunk.
things.
So in hindsight, you realize it now, right?
Yeah, but I was like, yo, what is she trying to do? Like that
Right.
that looked
Now you
fishy to me. I
realize
was
that's the way they pick up guys. The women pick up guys in Japan. Now you realize it, right?
that's so weird, bro.
Bro, when did you realize it? Like the next day or after going back to Canada? When did you realize that was her tactic?
The next day I realized I was like, man, she wasn't really that drunk because the way she walked up on us, like she literally just grabbed my arm and grabbed your arm, and then all of a sudden she couldn't walk anymore.
Crazy. Yeah. And then I think she felt bad. She felt like super rejected because I didn't take her home. Yeah. Anyway. So
Yeah, but at that point, you gotta like say something, right? Don't just pass out kind of in our
I
arms.
think a lot of Americans are not used to this. To us, we're shocked. Like I'm scared as an American, but I guess that's the way they do it here. Still a little uncomfortable. Like I agree, it'd be nice if it was a little different. Sharky says she was drunk by the influence of Passport Man. Maybe. I think D Will was yeah. So yeah. I mean, yeah, she was a pretty girl too. I thought she was pretty. I thought she was cute. She was wearing the color
I
contact.
thought she was dangerous, man. I said, yo, let me get out of here.
I think Shinjuku in general is a dangerous vibe. You must have had so much culture shock. Like we were interviewing people all night as well before that girl came up on us. So the reason, so we digress, I guess. So the reason why I bring it up, so this girl wanted to go to a private place so her and Passport Man can hang out. But instead of going to a private place, I sat her down to get her some water because I didn't realize that was just her tactic on hitting on a guy she liked. And I sat her down in, do you remember the name of this place? It was like it was a restaurant. How was the food there? Did you like it?
Yeah, it was not bad. There's lots of them. It was a chain.
Pretty cheap too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the name of the store is in Japanese. They're all over. I'm sure D Will saw it in Shinjuku too. Basically, you get like a pork fried rice bowl, pretty healthy. They have some maybe some miso soup. And basically, usually single businessmen go there to eat. And then at the time, I don't know who's eating there because it was like 4 a.m. on a Saturday morning, slash Friday night probably. But so basically, I guess these type of restaurants where the single guys or the businessmen usually eat, these guys don't want to have their vibe messed up. They want their alone time. They don't want to see like googly eyed people on Christmas, especially if you don't have a date on Christmas, right? So that's what this girl is talking about. Does that make sense, D Will?
Yeah.
Cool, cool. All right, let me hear her continue because she's dropping some knowledge bombs right here. 10 years in Japan from Oklahoma. Dude, Tulsa, Oklahoma gets hot, like 100 degrees, 110 degrees hot. That place is crazy. I think I went there one time.
Christmas. I've seen that. I've seen that.
Oh no, we got an ad. I'm gonna mute this ad. So they're boxing. Boom, skip.
Will pay to go to bars just to talk to girls. Now it's totally normal for me, but like, imagine going to a bar to pay to talk to somebody when you could just go to a bar.
He said it's totally normal, like him, like he goes there now. I think I'm maybe. I think he says
Dude,
seeing it, but who knows? Go ahead. What's your thoughts?
After 17 years, yeah, he goes there. He's definitely into the culture. Right?
Oh, maybe. You know, it's interesting. Like I've gone to the bars a couple times because people brought me there. Usually it's a drunk guy who owns a business here and has money and is married to a wife. Well, I won't go into. I don't want to. Well, I know a few guys like this, but yeah, like if you're here for a while and you got friends, eventually one of your friends is gonna drag you to one of these bars. I mean, they'll be buying you drinks. I'm like, if you're, yeah, I mean, you're my friend. We haven't hung out in a while. You want to go to a girls' bar, right? But basically, the girls' bar. So I've been to the girls' bar. They'll act very friendly with you. They'll give you their line ID, but it's their company line ID, and it's just to get you to come back to the girls' bar again. That's what you'd expect, right, D-Will?
Yeah. Also, it's like a cycle of that. I would say, like, the people at the bar are also going to other bars so that they can pay someone to talk to them. So it's like they spend all their money doing the same thing, right? It's crazy.
Dude, it's giving me so many flashbacks. I'm realizing during this live stream, I could just cut up all of the walking live streams in Shibuya. Yo, there was a live stream. I don't know if you saw this one last year. This girl, there's a few of them. There's a few live streams where girls came up to me in Shibuya and like were pretty proactive. One girl wanted me to hop in a cab with her. You probably haven't seen this live stream, but someone
I
had
remember
my
that one.
Oh, you remember that? You
Yeah.
were just watching from Canada, probably, right?
Yeah, I was like, go. What are you doing? Just
You
go.
wanted me to go, but then I would have. I mean, I ended up losing mics anyway. But I said in the live stream, like the guy had my mic, right? That was my reason. You think I should have sacrificed my mic for her?
You should have said, sir, I'm leaving.
was a
Give me
cheap
my mic. I'm going
But the
with
guy
this
was
woman.
across the street. Yeah. Yo, maybe, yeah, interesting. Maybe I'll cut up the clips, put it in, and then we'll do a reaction live stream to my live streams. But yeah, anyway, so what he's saying is true. I guess I concur. It is true. I guess you get used to it after you've been here for a while. He's been here 17 years. Oh, he's from Oakland, California, by the way.
Pay and talk to somebody.
What do you think? What do you think?
Oh, he said he won't pay and talk to somebody.
It does exist here.
I think it's a good way to like bond with you. I guess your male, your coworkers. It's just a way to have a meeting and write off a meeting. And
Dude, I think he has money now in Japan. By the way, guys, I will say, if you're gonna learn Japanese, and it won't necessarily correlate, with financial success, you got to have a plan with it. I think there are a lot of people who speak Japanese or even have MBAs who don't. this is the way I look at it with life. I think we as people, and I was talking with D Will about this before, we all chase money, and if you chase money for long enough, or if you're lucky enough to be alive long enough, money's gonna come anyway. But make sure to enjoy your life in the meantime. But then D Will corrected me with the balance. I think he said it earlier on in the stream as well, where he's like, yeah, enjoy your free time, but make sure you plan and have a method to make money. Is that right? Is that a good recap of the first
Yeah,
10?
of course. Because I realize that there's a lot of people who don't plan for retirement, and then it comes, and you're like, what do I do now? I have to keep working. I can't
Right.
afford to retire.
Right.
Right. And on the other hand, there's a lot of people who overwork and over plan, and they don't enjoy the now, the present, right?
Yeah. Well said. And do you have friends who have fallen into that trap? Do you have people you know who haven't planned for
Well,
retirement?
yeah, I've seen a lot of baby boomers, they can't retire. It's happening everywhere.
I will say D Will, and then I'll go back to what he's saying because he is dropping some interesting truths. Is that in Japan they have pensions that they kind of require you to do, but the system kind of doesn't make sense because people don't save enough money to be able to pay for the pensions. So I don't really understand the pension system in America, like the forced pension system. But they don't include it like well, I don't know. But this is another story. I'll let him continue.
If you go to an expensive place, the girls are like literally talented. Sorry, I said literally. That's such a stupid word to say. They're really talented. Like they're really good at speaking. Like if you go to Ginza, that's their job. All they do is speak every day. So it's
But I think he's saying speak in Japanese. Let's see. I don't think they're speaking in English.
pretty entertaining thing. I don't go, but I have been.
I was
I don't go, but I've been.
That's what I
You're
said.
right.
I mean, I'll concur, but he sounds like he might be over. Maybe maybe he's trying to protect himself. I don't know. All right. Let's continue. There's a new guy, Florida. Oh, we've seen him before.
was really surprised how different relationships are here. My impression is that like everyone cheats. I think that's not the case in America. But when you ask Japanese people like, have you ever cheated before? They'll go like, no, never. And if you ask them again, they'll be like, ikai dake. Just
Bro, you want to hear a crazy story? I don't think I've shared this. Let me see. By the way, Sharky says you won't take money to your grave, make money, survive and retire. Don't exactly. Yo, it's very sad. What I will say is my parents are pretty happy-go-lucky. I think they're good people, but they're not serious, so I think they'll live a long time. I think I think they're good people, but I think some people, there's a balance, like me and D Will is saying, like, the things I feel bad about. There's this singer, he's not from my generation. I think he's not from I think he's from several generations back. I love his music. He kind of looks like me with a mustache. What's the name of it? He's got a few songs. Oh, I think his name is Jim Croce or something. I don't know how to pronounce his name because I never heard it. I just read it. He's not from my generation. I never heard anyone talk about him. But basically, he has a song. If I could, well, I can't sing it. It's gonna sound terrible. If I could save time in a bottle or something.
Yeah, I've never heard that one.
Lovely song. And he died when he was like really young, like 26, 27. And I just feel so bad because I look at his work. A lot of these people, have you heard of the 27 Club?
Of course. Yeah.
So like I have a feeling like people, like, don't get me wrong, some people have natural talent, whatever, but I have a feeling these people work their butts off from very young. I mean, they do. Like, you don't learn how to dance. Like Sharky was mentioning Rihanna before. Who's this other girl? She's not my generation. Leah or something. There's this other girl. Her name reminds me of Rihanna, but there's a bunch of entertainers, a surprising amount in this 27 Club.
Aaliyah.
Yeah, Leah, that's it, I think.
Aaliyah.
Yeah.
She was in Romeo Must Die with Jet Li.
Right, right. And even R. Kelly might have had an interaction with her. And I think that's where I know her from most. Yeah. So she was in movies, dude. If she was in movies, she was singing, like you have no doubt this girl was working hard, right? She might not even be in the 27 Club. Do you know when she passed away?
I think she passed away at 24, I believe.
God, that's terrible. So like you
Yeah,
picture
she
this,
was a
she's working
baby.
her whole life. That's not living. Like I'm sure she enjoys her work, but I don't consider that living, you know? Like, bro, when we were hanging out, off camera, like we streamed together. Like you helped me with the camera, you pushed the drunk guy off the girl I was interviewing. But like when we were
Yeah.
hanging out off stream, that was really when we really got to really hang out. Don't you think? Like when that girl hit us up off stream. Because that girl hit us
Yeah,
up
for sure.
when we were not on stream. That's when real stuff happens, guys. Like
Yeah.
you guys might find my live streams entertaining, but the real stuff happens to me off stream. Like my best interactions, like the girl I'll shoot the video. Did you see the girl I did the live stream with like a few weeks ago?
Yeah, I seen that one. What
Yeah,
was her
I did
name?
off stream. I think her name is Hana, like a flower. But yeah, I'll drop the video. We did an edited video before doing the live stream. We were hanging out for a few hours. But like the best interactions, the best parts of life, in my opinion, I feel is when the camera is not rolling and when you're not working. Don't get me wrong, guys. Like I love my clients. I love working, but you know, even my own clients, I love interacting with them like when the deal is done, when the contract is done, like during the interaction, like while trying to negotiate or even while like if I'm selling, like let's say, so I have like social media clients. I have clients I've built websites for, right? So like it's okay. Like the Royal, like my name's Royal. If you don't know, I'm Passport Man, but like off camera, I'm Royal. You guys could call me Roy. But like, so Passport Man is a little different. Like, even my ladies I interact with, like sometimes people say, like, I don't want to fuck Passport Man. Oh, I don't want to interact with Passport Man now. I want to interact with Royal. You know what I mean? Do I seem different when I'm on live than when I'm interacting with you off camera, Debo?
In my opinion, no.
Okay, cool.
But I do know that you're more outgoing when you're off camera,
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's true. I'm a little more guarded when I'm on camera. Would you say that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I got to. Like YouTube loves to demonetize. Probably had 10 live streams, give or take. But I have done a lot of live streams. Very good take, man. All right, cool. I went off topic a little bit, but I did see some chats. You won't make, yeah, good point, Sharkies. Sharky made good points. Can you give me tips how not to be a wage slave? Mercs, do you want to give? All right, so here's what we'll do. We'll let this guy finish, and then afterwards, D Will, can you give Mercs tips on how not to be a wage slave after we let this guy finish his thought on the video?
Of course.
All right,
Let's go.
Just once, and then you ask them again, they'll be like, "Ah, jukai dake," just 10 times.
I assume you have lots of Japanese friends and stuff.
Yeah, I'll
Do you
play
think it's
this
actually-
back just to like, because this guy made some good points and it was so good. I'm gonna replay it.
Have been.
I was really surprised how different relationships are here. My impression is that like everyone cheats. I think that's not the case in America.
And it's so shocking, it's funny.
But when you ask Japanese people, like, "Have you ever cheated before?" They'll go like, "No, never." And if you ask them again, they'll be like, "Ikai dake."
That's the story. I'll quickly tell my story. So, and I'll probably tell this story another time. So I was dealing with this girl who was like 21. It's scary, guys. It's scary out here. By the way, guys, being with a young girl does not mean she hasn't had bodies. I asked her how many. I don't do this often, but like she's a very interesting personality. So I asked her how many bodies, and she might have literally thought it wasn't many, but she started. I asked her a second time the way he asked her. Some questions you don't want to know the answers to, guys, but it's like he said. They gave one answer. It was a Japanese girl.
What
Kind
did
of
she say?
I'm embarrassed to say. I'm so lucky. I think I have an angel, man. I think I have an angel. I've dealt with enough girls that I feel lucky to have never caught anything that I know of. I think dude, even if you kiss a girl, you know there's like literally like 1,000 germs in people's mouths. Like, you know, there's
Yeah,
good germs
yeah,
and bad germs, right? And you can
yeah.
actually make yourself healthy, I heard, by exchanging like going like not a dry kiss, but like a more intact kiss with a girl. But you can also get her germs. Dude, I used to be a serious germaphobe. Man. I still am. It affects me. I'm a germaphobe, guys, but I'm just maybe the germophobia has saved me with my number of interactions with women. I don't know.
I will
Probably.
say
That's
it is easier for these women to have more success than us men.
that's true. You want to
So,
elaborate on that or go ahead? I'll let you
well, I
continue.
mean, her body count, right? She was
Right.
young, and she
Yeah.
probably had upwards of, I don't know, 20.
Yeah, guys. I think for our generation, or I don't know the ages of people or the generations. Oh, we got Funk Dad in the house. You remember Funk Dad, right? We
Yes, sir.
won't say his. We'll keep to his screen name because we're on camera now. I'll never say his actual name on camera. What's up, Funk Dad? How you doing? America. Funk Dad's still out there. You and Funk Dad are both returned to America and Canada. That's funny. Yeah, all right. By the way, Mercs, we are gonna give you the tips, and then Funk Dad, you can give him tips as well, because Funk Dad's pretty good with money as well on how to not be a wage slave. Let's eat Toriki Zoku again. Yeah, did you eat Toriki? Oh, yeah, that's where we ate at, the three of us. Okay. Well said, Funk Dad. All right, let's play it.
Yeah, just once. And then you ask them again, they'll be like, ah, jukai dake.
Oh,
Just
Jukai. 10 times.
times.
So he's saying like the first time you ask, have they cheat? They'll say
Hold on.
never. Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on.
Yeah.
What did she
Yeah.
say?
So
What was her body count?
I'm really I would say plus 20. She initially
Yeah.
said like 8 guys or something. And then the vibe I was getting from her, I was like, really? Because here's the thing. All right. So she was acting really sweet at first. And then, all right, I'll have to go into detail here. All right, so I was in Osaka. I met this girl in Osaka. So here's the way Osaka girls work, or girls in Japan. Well, all right, I'm about to back up his point. So I cheated with. I didn't cheat. I was sleeping with a bunch of guys. I was sleeping with a bunch of girls who had boyfriends, but they weren't telling me it. So basically, you'll meet the girl on the dating app. At the time, by the way, location matters in America and in Japan. So I was having a lot of success because I was inviting these girls to meet me Fukushima. Well, yeah, I was at a good station, a decent station, not a great station. So these girls would come through. They would come to my Airbnb. At the time, Airbnbs were very cheap, and they would meet up with me. They would just play this good girl game, and some of them would even say, do you want to be boyfriend girlfriend?" By the time I figured it out with the current girl, all right, so with the body count girl, she wanted to be boyfriend girlfriend, but I was hesitant. And because I kind of felt like, even though she was like 21, probably 20, I think she was 21, not 22, I don't remember, but it was above 20. Like, it was high enough that she was a very interesting girl. And yeah, let's just say that she was very entertaining. I think if she had her own YouTube channel, she would make a lot of money. She spoke great English. I think she was extremely intelligent. She was very lively. I loved her energy, but I just wasn't ready for a girlfriend at that time, if that made sense. I was just ready. I told her I just want to have fun. But her body count was pretty high. To be honest, just knowing how it's not just about the body count too, even if her body count was 10 or 15, because how the foreigners pass around the same girls. Like, here's the thing. What makes me germophobic about the women, even though I still deal with them, I've turned girls down. I'm like extremely germophobic and stuff. Like, I get extremely freaked out. Like, I look at a girl very well with lighting when I'm alone with her. Like, I'm a germaphobe, guys. I'm a weirdo a little bit, but
He said with lighting, yo.
Yeah, bro. I look at details. I'm like, you girls gotta be porcelain for me to not be worried. Like I look at a freckle. Anyway, I'm a little extreme, but it's just the way, like, so here's the thing, especially in Tokyo, it's not as much like this in Osaka, but I feel like with some of the girls. Yeah, Funk That, you kind of know what I'm talking about. You can kind of talk about in the chat. Funk That knows me in real life. You kind of get that vibe that I'm a little bit like that. Probably you too, Devo. But anyway, it was a high enough body count. It wasn't crazy high. Well, I think it was crazy high. You all right, let's put it this way. Do you think 15 to 20 is crazy high for a girl, or above 15 to 20 bodies for a girl 21 years old?
That's high.
Yeah. And there are girls. I talked to one guy. I didn't sleep with this girl, but she put his name in a book because he was American. She had a book with over guys from over 45 countries, and she was 20 years old.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. She was making a hit list, and she was 20 years old. She was a Japanese girl. And if you saw her, you probably get fooled by her charm and her sweetness and her cuteness and her innocent. And Hazakashi, I don't cheat. That's what this guy is saying. That's crazy, man.
Straight up.
Yeah, so like that's the thing, guys. I always wrap it up unless yeah. And I'll probably be this way for life, guys. I'm traumatized, guys. And I know people who catch things. I don't dude. The nightmare for me, I hear foreigners talk about it's nothing. Foreigners swap stories. I know a bunch of guys who have to take pills or have to take pills because they weren't careful out here in these streets. That's scary. My if you have to take pills or have to take pharmaceuticals because of genetics or DNA or stress and life caught up with you or whatever, that's understandable. But if you can control it, if you have to take pills just because you weren't careful with who you were dealing with, I don't know, D. Will, you can back me up on this. I feel and there needs to be better content on YouTube about this because people make it sound like it's hard to get women, hard to sleep with girls, when it's really not. You don't need to be 6 foot. You don't need to be super rich. Am I wrong here, D. Will? Can you kind of be devil's advocate here? And then we'll go back to this.
You're not wrong. It honestly depends on the female because she could be out there trying to, fill up a bucket list, like you said, So yeah, you could just be in the right place at the right time, and she chose you.
Right. Yeah, yo, Sharky made me laugh. You are correct. Yeah, exactly. All right, I think I'm going off topic. I answered your question. She had a lot of bodies, not compared to the girl with the country hit list of foreigners. All right, I like this guy. I like this interview of this guy from Florida.
I assume you have lots of Japanese friends and stuff. Do you think it's actually true, or what do you think? Is that misconception?
By the way, guys, for context, we're talking about cheating still because we went off on a tangent. So one more time, he said that Japanese girls or Japanese people, when you first ask them, they say they never cheat. Then when you ask them a second time, they say they cheated 10 times. We're all on the same page, D. Will? You remember that?
Yes, sir. I was just thinking an idea for your next merch.
Okay. Go ahead.
You gotta get a black light on a t-shirt.
I like that. I like that.
I definitely have Japanese friends that don't cheat, but it's hard to know whether they're telling the truth too.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's so about face. So I had a relationship I've had enough relationships that by the way, I just found out, exes watch my channel. Guys, if you want to start a YouTube channel, this is what I did, right? So I literally went through all of my exes, girls that I just slept with that I didn't have a relationship with. I kept them. I didn't care about them. But girls that I had relationships with, I kind of I made them unfollow my Instagram. So if anyone's thinking of starting a YouTube channel, don't have your YouTube connected to your Instagram. To be honest, I don't know how the girls found my channel because my channel is not that popular. But basically all girls that I've had relationships with now have seen my content. and some of them got stuff to say, some of them positive, some of them negative. Basically, keep their vibes. But like, what I will say is, like, I've had another relationships that if anyone accuses me, if any of these girls say that I'm talking about them, I'm not talking about you. This song's not about you. You're so vain. You probably think this song is about you. No, I'm not talking about you. Don't come to me thinking you're not the only person I've interacted with. There are women Japanese women that will say something, and like, I know, like, if a girl's 24 or even 21 now, because I use that example, if you're saying you didn't have a life before me, dude, 18 to 21, you were doing something. But these girls will look at you with a straight face and say the truth. Like this guy, I love this guy's interview, man. This guy's my favorite person interviewed by Tekashi in this video. They will say, yeah, never cheated. And like, I won't even argue. I just like, he asked a second time. I'm done asking people stuff a second time. In Canada, do they lie like this, or is it different? Or in America, in your opinion, D-Will? Like, Japanese people have a certain way. It's not lying, it's just how they communicate. I'm
Yeah,
I'm not holding
I
back.
assume they all lie, right? And it
Right.
depends on where you're at, what type of situation you're in. I mean, you could meet a girl at church and she's gonna lie to your face.
Ah, right. See, it's not a Japanese thing, it's a people thing, right?
It's a people thing, exactly. So
Yeah.
they lie because you can know somebody they know, or they lie because they don't want to embarrass themselves, or you know what I mean? It could be
There's a
any
lot of
reasons.
Yeah.
There's,
But
it
it's
could be no reason at all. They just lie.
right. Crazy. But the craziest thing is, he said they went from saying they've never cheated to they've cheated 10 times. To cheat 10 times is a lot of times. I don't know if we're getting lost in translation, but that's a lot.
Exactly. For me personally, I think you just need to get your experience up and then you move on.
All right. Well,
But let's play this video and then we'll get back to that question about
all right.
being a brokey.
All right.
But I think there are loyal people here, but there's also like the fuzoku and things like that, which, like, whether that's cheating or not is a debate among.
So it says fuzoku is literally translating to public morals or customs, euphemisms for Japan's SC X-rays industry. So fuzoku is what he's talking about.
Japanese people, I'm sure you've seen.
What about your friends? What did they say about, is that prostitution kind of cheating, or?
I think girls usually will say, like, if it's for business, it's common that like business people will go there with like senpai, for example. That's okay. But if you go by yourself, then it's cheating.
When it comes to the lifestyle, how different is in Japan and the United States?
I think one of the biggest differences here is the size of my apartment. The living spaces are quite small.
And this is good because this goes into us answering his question about how to not be a wage slave, because this guy is talking about, well, we'll find out, right?
Small here, especially if you live like in the inner city, like here in Shibuya. In New York City, my apartment was a little bit older, but
all right. I'll answer one point to his wage slave question. In New York City, it's a lot easier to be a wage slave, and Japan for different reasons. I'll try and remember those 2 points for when I answer it, but this guy's rolling. I'll let him continue, D-Will. I like his interview too, this guy.
You know, I'm like 6'3", right? I'm quite tall for Japan. So some of the initial apartments I lived in, I had to like duck to get into the apartment, or I had to duck to get in from the living space.
D-Will, I think 6'3" is quite tall in general.
Yeah, of course.
I'm 6 foot. When I see a person taller than me, especially 6'3", that's really tall. I see some guys 6 foot. We're about the same height, I think, right, D-Will?
I'm a little bit shorter than that, man. Come on.
Yeah. But yeah, it's hard to tell heights, but I think 6'3" is very tall everywhere, but especially in Japan, he's banging his head a lot. I bang my head at 6 feet. It hurts to live in Japan. Be careful, guys. Especially, like, you take it for granted. If you live in Tokyo, guys, there's some old buildings. Dog, you're not 6 foot. You're 6'2" at minimum. Maybe in the morning. Funk that. Let's see. Thank you, man. Maybe that'll help me get some extra girls. All right, but 6'3" is tall, bro. 6'3" is tall.
Space into the bathroom. Fortunately, now I live in a pretty modern space, so I don't have to duck. But I think one of the biggest challenges here was my height. As sort of like a 6'3" black man living in Japan,
I think girls are gonna be very scared of him, man. Yeah. As a black man, 6'3", people are scared of me, bro. Did I ever tell you the story of like 10 policemen coming for me? Not 10. Hold on, I'm exaggerating. Literally, at least 6 to 8 policemen in a convenience store waiting for me. Did I ever tell you this story?
I think so, but I'm not sure. Go ahead.
So, all right. So I'll go into more elaboration on another stream because I don't want to go too off topics. I got stories for days. But like what they had like a normal sized Japanese dude like around here talking to me. But just in case I got rowdy, they had like some policemen more around my height, my size, ready for me in case I got physical. This was in Osaka. Bro, that's at a convenience store. That's crazy. Because in my mind, if I'm in New York, first of all, in New York, height doesn't matter. Like I knew a guy I worked with who was 6'6", maybe bigger than Michael Jordan, and like bigger than basketball players. And not just like he wasn't like skinny 6'6". He was decent. He wasn't like skinny. He was like decently built, 6'6", and like 3 kids, probably like 5'5", jumped out of a tree at gun or knife point. So like height doesn't matter in Japan, like or in America. Like they won't be afraid of you. So I feel weird that it's don't get me wrong. In corporate America, I feel people are kind of afraid of me too. So I'm very like guarded. So like my corporate America self is like my YouTube self. So you guys are Passport Man on YouTube. You see talking is kind of similar, a little more loose than corporate America, but kind of how I am. D Will and Funk That has seen the real me. But yeah, I understand this guy if feels scared. Feels scared of people being scared of him in Japan. But he's still in Japan, so 14 years in Japan. Let's hear what he has to say.
Never really have to worry about people being really afraid of me, or I feel kind of safe, especially with the police. Like if the police stop me here and ask to see my resident card, I have no fear. I just take it out and show it to them. But
that's a big point. Whoa. That's a positive point. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a reason I never thought of that. A good reason to live in America. I don't know. This is a topic for another discussion. I'll avoid it. You have anything to say about what he just said, or should I let him continue playing?
Nah, it's true, but I live in Canada, so I don't deal with that stuff.
Yeah. Police brutality, guys. One thing I will say is if they ask for your ID in Japan, just give them your ID, guys. I mean, it's just they're very formal. You might think you're getting arrested, but they're just asked for your ID. That's all.
If the police were to stop,
even if they're targeting you, as long as I have been targeted for being black or mixed race or whatever people think I am black and white. I think some people think I'm black, some people think I'm white, depending on what category do you put me in, Debo?
You're mixed.
Yeah.
In Jamaica, they call you half breed.
What's it? Half
breed.
Nice. I'm gonna call my mom tomorrow because she's sleeping right now in Japan and be like, "Hey, you gotta teach me this stuff, man. I can't be half Jamaican and not know this stuff." Thank you, Debo. Appreciate it. All right. Let's let this guy.
Stop me in New York City or stop me in Virginia, I have a sense of anxiety and fear of the threat of violence.
But actually, I will say, hold on. I will say it depends on the person. I don't feel the threat of violence initially, but I'm on my P's and Q's. I communicate in a way. I know if I get out of hand in America, police can get violent. Does that make sense? You probably heard some stories about America police brutality, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's what he's talking about, guys. And then I don't know, like everyone's from different backgrounds. I put you in the cool category, man. Thank you, Sharky. Yeah, I appreciate that. I like that. Yeah, I'm cool. I'm mixed. I'm mixed and cool.
Does not exist here.
Probably
フリーランスエンジニアの方は必見。
Okay.
案件を一気にできるサイト、フリーランスハブ。
Where's my skip? All right, guys. So before I continue playing, yo, D Will, I think you gotta get ready for work. Or you gotta get. He's got some stuff going on. He's a very busy man. We know. D Will, any closing remarks? Maybe I should let you go, right?
Yeah, for sure. I just want to touch on that one point about not being a wage slave real quick.
Right. Listen up, Mercs, in the replay or now if you're still on. Go ahead. Talk.
Yeah, so I mean, like there's two types of people, right? Everyone has to decide in life, whether it be later in life or earlier. You got to decide whether you want to be a consumer for the rest of your life or you want to transition into being an investor. And once you start buying assets that make you money, that's when you start to expand your horizons and start to look at instead of trading your time for money, now you're trading your money to make more money, which saves you time in the long run, right?
I like it.
So yeah, just to touch on something brief, just to get people thinking about researching about these type of things, and yeah, let's get it.
I love it. Yeah, it's a long game. Mercs 89. I don't know what your what age you are, what your dynamics, what's your professions, a lot of details involved. But I think that's a very good point that D Will made. And then one thing I will say about D Will, and I say why you should listen to what he says. Take that as a very good comment. Not only do I agree with him, but I know him in real life, and he's about his stuff. Like he was not hurting in the bank when he visited Japan. It was a drop in the bucket for him. So he knows his money. I've seen his results off stream. Like we've talked about day trading. I day traded for a year. I think the real people like making money or having success with women, most of them don't appear on YouTube, so that's great. I love that. I think that's excellent advice for Mercs, Sharky. And feel free, other folks in the chat. I know you guys do well with money too. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of folks who do well with money but don't talk about money, just the way societies are structured, not just in Japan, but in America, Canada, etc. So if any of you guys have advice for Mercs on how to avoid being a wage slave, either in the comments, in the replay, or now in the chat, feel free to let us know. Perfect. Thank you for remembering to talk about that, D Will. Anything else before I let you go?
No, man, that's it. Hopefully we can chat again sometime soon.
Yeah, man. I'll hit you up during the week sometime. We'll text message back and forth and figure out a time with our time zone differences to schedule our next time. Yeah.
Okay, no problem, man. I'll see you later.
Thanks, D. Will. Talk later. Peace. Bye. All right. So I'll continue to stream a little bit. Buy some NVIDIA. Yeah, let's look at NVIDIA. All right. So actually, I want to examine. I wish I could pin. Can I pin these? Oh, okay. I see. So I can't pin, but Sharky, I'm actually gonna look at the stock charts for NVIDIA and Amazon stock after I'm done playing a few more of these. We might have to do a part 2 on this video, but I'm gonna play 1 or 2 more interviews, and then we're gonna look at the NVIDIA and Amazon stock and wrap it up. So if anyone has any questions, ask now. That way I have time to respond. All right, let's play. Oh, muted.
Japan, because
does not exist here.
Probably commuting is the most different, America versus Japan, because especially where I'm from in Oklahoma and Texas, we're very car vehicle reliant. So like we use our car for everything. We sit in traffic for hours in the weeks commuting back and forth to work. But like, in Japan, we're either remote work now or we're on the commuter trains. So, and you have to walk a lot. My friends coming to Japan to visit from America, I can hear them like we're walking around a little bit. Like,
I know someone yesterday on yesterday's live stream, somebody asked me how many steps I get in. Like, she's right. Like, Tokyo's like New York. You don't count steps in the big cities. You just walk a lot. I walk a lot. I wasn't trying to lose weight. I lost all my belly fat. Well, my back fat. I never really had belly fat that much, but I lost like 20 pounds just walking of like fat. I don't know if it's 20 pounds, at least 15 pounds. We do kilograms out here. But she's right. That's different. But I think there's Tokyo, Japan, and there's other Japan, but she's talking about her personal experience because she's in Tokyo.
so I'm like, oh, I forget we use our cars to travel everywhere. So
Yeah, she's talking about, she's from Tulsa, Oklahoma, where they use their cars, not New York. But she's been in Japan 10 years. Wow.
I think so. Just like the daily aspect of walking so much.
Yeah.
I would say in general, it's really, really different. Just my daily life is very
This girl is 2 years in Japan from the Virginia in America, DMV area.
different. I lived by myself since I was 19 in the States.
Disclosure, guys, this is Tokyo, Japan, I believe, because I've ran into this guy in Tokyo.
Especially during college, I was living in Portland, and I definitely think Japan is a lot safer. So I feel like just the daily stress of like having to go
Yeah,
out.
another thing I'll say, guys, is I would say, because we've had interviews with girls and guys on this interview live stream, is the girls probably love the safety they feel here in Japan, even though, yeah.
Out, even if it's at night, like I don't really stress out that much here. Like for example, I had to, for like a photo shoot, I had to meet at the station
She's a model here.
at
But she's
around
tall because he's tall too.
5:30, and I didn't have a first train out of my nearest station. So I walked with my luggage for 30 minutes to a different station, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning. Like I could never do that in America and feel
No,
safe.
she would have been robbed in a lot of places.
But for me, like as long as I don't have my headphones in.
Guys,
or I
did you
feel-
hear she was walking for 30 minutes with her luggage at like 3 a.m. in the morning or so? S&P 500, I'll actually check that out too, Funk that. I'm going to share my screen and put that after this girl's talking.
pretty alert. Like it's not really an issue.
I think Japanese life is much more convenient and it's much cheaper. Like if Americans come to Japan right now, it's like a 30% off Black Friday sale on everything in the country. Food is delicious. People are really friendly. Japanese is fun. It's great. I noticed simple things are different. Like I lived in New York for a little bit and people would just like dance in the subway.
Yeah, he's from Florida, but he's been to New York. 4 months in Japan, this guy.
Way station and like
So
sing
he's talking about New York City subway station, people dancing on the train, singing on the trains, etc.
with their headphones on. And that sort of behavior is kind of like frowned upon here. It makes you look a little bit weird, like you're distracting others. But I kind of miss that a little bit. I want to be weird, but I don't know. I feel like it's not good.
Yeah, say in the States you want to switch one of your foods for another food or get something out, you can do it. In Japan, they get like, wait, what? You want to, you know what I mean? Or
Wait a minute. It all depends, guys. There's nuances. Man, there's a lot to say here. It depends. There's there's non-Japanese restaurants in Japan. You get a completely different service, so don't confuse it. But like if you're at not like a fast food place, but like a legit restaurant, where they only have 2 or 3 locations. If you're paying, I would say 1,500 yen and up, because I do have allergies. You can tell them like what you want, and they will customize it. And then for fast food, I eat a lot of fast food. If you want to customize your burger, Burger King, you can do that with the other places. I think it's the same in America, but I'm curious to let him finish, and then we're gonna go into stocks.
this is something that happened the other day. Like say they had whipped cream pancakes last month, but do you have whipped cream pancakes? And they'll say, no, we don't have whipped cream pancakes this month. And you'll be like, well, there's whipped cream on the cake there. Can you put the whipped cream from the cake on the pancakes? And they'll be like, no. So what you do is you say, can I have the whipped cream cake, but without the cake, just the whipped cream and the pancakes, and just put the whipped cream on the pancake.
No flexible.
So not flexible. You kind of have to work around it.
I think.
Yeah, Japanese people, yeah, it's not that flexible. But all right, so let's go into the stocks. All right, how am I gonna do this? Leaving USA. Okay, let's start with the S&P 500, and then we'll go to Nvidia and Amazon. Share this tab instead. Can you guys see it okay? Looks okay. This is what I used to do when I was day trading. I wouldn't use the S&P 500 too much. Can I zoom in a little bit? Let me see how that looks. All right. Can you guys see the graph? Maybe I need to zoom in a little more. All right. So recently the S&P has been taking a dip a little bit. And let me see. So overall, it's a good place to be, especially if you're not day trading. If you decide to stop, don't be a fool like me. Get the hell out of your individual stocks, no matter how much you believe in them. Put them back in the S&P 500 or put it in cash if you're starting a business because, well, it all depends on your individual situations. But obviously, the S&P is taking a little dip here. If we look at the last 6 months, it's taken a huge dip. It's definitely not the place you want to be to make quick money. Now, Sharky's talking about Nvidia. I would say over the next couple years, Nvidia, you're probably gonna. My problem with Nvidia is I look at Nvidia as it's a little like, what was the name of that stock? The one with Elon Musk. What's the stock Elon Musk was? Tesla, I think. Nvidia, but the problem is Nvidia is really into AI. I would buy Nvidia stock, even though it's very high, depending on how it looks. Let's see how Nvidia looks right now. All right, so here's Nvidia. Let me see if I'm zoomed in enough for you guys. Can you guys put a 1 in the chat if this chart is good enough? Because I hope it's not too small on the screen. I'm trying to zoom in here. Here we go. The 1 year. Now here's my issue with Nvidia. It's climbed a lot. If you look at the 5 year, I think it's only been around for a lot. So the 5 year will look similar to the max. So this is, let me see when the IPO happened. 2016. Oh, so Nvidia has been around for a while. Let's look at the market cap, 2.93 trillion. If you look in comparison, so the way I trade, guys, and I'm very informal, I only day traded for a year, is I look at the market cap, I look at where they're going, and it's got to be a company that I'm somewhat involved with looking at literally. And then the reason why I stopped day trading was, well, I stopped day trading when I decided to move to Tokyo to become a salesman, because that was a whole interview process. You got to basically sell yourself like a madman to become a salesman in Tokyo. So I didn't have time to look at the markets. And then also the time zone difference was horrible. But if you guys are living in America, or if you're in a safe job and you got money to play with, which I feel like any money I play with now, you see this right here. This is a huge light. This is what I do with my play money now. I don't really day trade anymore. Yeah, guys, I think Nvidia, it's climbed a lot. I'd have to look at it. It's got to be number one in terms of the AI stocks. And they were initially a chip company. If I knew they were in AI, in hindsight, I would have invested in them a while ago. And you can see in the past, we got to use the 5 year because they only have 1 year and then 5 year on Google. I'm using Google, not Yahoo investing or whatever. There's other ways you could track this. Typically, when I was day trading, guys, a brilliant way to do this is there's a stocks app on your phone. If you swipe left, that's where I got all my news and information. I took it down. Can I show this? Yeah, but this is the stock app. Here's my camera. I don't know if you guys can see this. And then you can add and subtract the different stocks. And that's what I use to day trade. And I would usually buy and sell half the time the same day. And usually, I think they call it swing trading. Usually within a week, I would trade depending how it was going. And of course, trade with money that you're willing to lose, because I did lose the money after I stopped day trading. But that's the Nvidia stock. I did want to check the 5 years or last 2 years. So right now we're in 2025, 2023. Yeah, even though it's dropped a bit from its high, its 52-week high is 153. It's you know what, dude, this might be the time to get into Nvidia. I'm juggling a lot of stuff financially that I'm playing around with. But yeah, I would say Mercs. I'll try within the next few weeks. I'll try and schedule another call, or actually, while I'm doing a walk and talk live stream, I could talk about this more. But excellent question. All right, so let me go back to the video. I'll play that video, and then if you guys have any other questions about stocks or anything else, we'll do that. This until the skip button shows. There's my skip button.
Difference in mindset between sort of like an American mindset and a Japanese mindset, to be very general, is Americans are focused on individualism.
Right.
And I feel like Japanese society is focused on collectivism.
This is very true.
Like Americans are socialized to think, what is best for me? What do I want to do for me? Where do I want to go? What do I like? Whereas I feel like in Japanese culture, there's a focus on, I don't know how to say it.
And
it's
I
like
kind of
law.
think that's part of the reason, like it might seem like they're lying, but that's part of the reason why, like when the guy said before, when he asked if they're cheating, they say no, they never cheated. I think part of it is just to kind of save face and fit in with society more than it is lying. I don't know.
Like wa culture.
So wa culture is emphasizes group harmony, united, prioritizing the group over the individual.
Focus on like the group and what's best for the group and how the group can come together and form a synergy for the group to move forward.
Right.
Whereas in the US, I feel like it's like, how can I move forward? Not my whole squad or group.
When you say you're from the United States, how do Japanese people react? What's their general impression?
So I think I have to like explain, not to Americans, but to people outside America, that America is so big. We're so many cultures inside of this big landmass. And not just Japanese, but when anyone who's non-American thinks of America, you think of cowboys, or you think of the West Coast style, or you think of maybe New York City and like New Yorkers. But yeah, I think it's that kind of image of like, oh, do you have guns? Do you shoot? Are you like this, that? Yeah, the guns question a lot.
Have you ever seen the movie Rush Hour with Jackie Chan?
Yep.
They think you're Chris Tucker. You know, they think you're like super overreactive. Like if you eat
Funny guy.
yeah. Oh, sushi, it's so good. Wow, I really like the sushi. It's so
Exaggerating.
so
But the funny thing is they always say like mecha oishii, umai, mecha oishii. So Japanese people kind of exaggerate about.
so exaggerating. Like they think that foreigners are really energetic and stuff. But you know, there's all different types of Japanese people, and there's all different types of non-Japanese people.
What I want to
Well
say,
said. Maybe we can leave it at that. But I want to hear what Takashi. By the way, this is a video we reacted to by Takashi, kind of supporting some of the thoughts on this channel.
it's I think especially Americans living in Japan, I think they're more like tend to be like in general introverted, compared to like Americans in America. I think because that's why they suit their personality to Japan, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, this is like, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but I mean, a lot of nerds like Japan because they like anime, they like that type of culture. So it's really good for you if you come here. Like, it's an easy country to be an introvert.
One thing
I'm
that's
curious. Put a 1 in the chat if you think a lot of nerds like Japan. Put a 2 in the chat if you think he's off base there. I want to hear what my friend has to say here.
stands out for me is
3, 2, 1. Come on, Skip Ad. Where are you?
being so safe. On the other end, Japanese people think of America as not safe. So some people are actually worried about coming here because of the gun violence that's going on in the US. So that was the biggest thing that people always mention when they come to talk to me about the States.
I think general impression that I think we all agree that Japanese people like the States. Japanese people kind of understand at the same time, but from your perspective, many Japanese people recognize United States is not safe.
Yeah, that's pretty much most people's impression of the US. Unless they've already been out of the country, that's usually the impression.
Maybe that's true because on even Japanese media, like they show a lot about gun shooting, how corruption and everything in the States. Maybe that's why.
I've noticed that on the news or on social media in general, that the image of the US is definitely being skewed in a way. But at the same time, in the US, when you're on social media, you also see these things. But it's just for the Japanese people, they actually cater it to that system, and it's not all about that, but it is like their main, I don't know, the main quality of the U.S. Like, this is happening in the U.S. Like, this crazy stuff happens there, it doesn't happen here.
The impression or reaction I get to someone, it really depends on where their interests lie. For example, I met a
This is
friend
interesting. I like where he's going. This is unconventional.
and her aunt was quite older. I think her aunt was around maybe 65 or 70 years old. And I told her my name was Richard. And she was like, oh, like Richard Gere. Like, you know, like the old white American actor, Richard Gere. I mentioned to another person that I was from the US, and they're like, you look like Snoop Dogg. And I look nothing like Snoop Dogg. You know, I think it really depends on.
What do you guys think? Does he look like Snoop Dogg to you? No and no, but to them, they're not used to looking at foreigners. So, but I don't know why this has to do with
the person you're talking to and what their kind of connection is to America. But I think most people think when I tell them I'm from New York City, for some reason they're quite impressed. I think New York City is kind of like this sort of.
I think even in America, people react like when I'm working at a large company, then there's like we have a trip where all of the people from the different cities of America, the different states, the different branches come together. When people hear you're from New York, they're like, oh, you're from New York. And I think Los Angeles gets the same type of vibe reaction.
You know, interesting.
It's not just a Japan thing.
Place for Japanese people.
For everyone in the world.
Yeah, I think it's like, it's amazing.
So when I say
I get more Wiz Khalifa than Snoop Dogg. I'm with you on that. Funk that. Bit of an age difference between them as well, even though he's been in Japan for a while.
Florida, they just say Disney. And when I say,
yo, he does look like a Disney. Oh, I see. Well, yeah, he's from Florida, Disneyland. Yeah, shout out to Disneyland in Florida.
I lived in Texas, they say cowboy. But generally, like, their impression is really good of Americans, and they think
This guy's interesting because he's traveled around. It sounds like Texas, Florida, New York.
All like beautiful and tall. Not the case. They really like American accents too. It reminds them of all of the media and movies and music and stuff.
How can I live in Japan? How do I find a job there? Any advice for moving to Japan? These are
constantly hearing that the USA is the best country. You won't find a better country than the USA.
Being in Japan, like now, definitely.
companies. Remember that having that feeling after living in Japan.
I think because I've moved so many places before, I've always kind of felt like that. Definitely being in Japan, like now, definitely like reinforce that view I had.
Being from the South, like the America no Minami, like where I'm from, it goes God, family, country. So being a
Interesting. Let me just process that because I've never lived in the South. God, then family, then country. Interesting.
patriot means, you know, you're also a good Christian.
That's interesting, by the way. I wonder if anyone knows about what's it like in the southern part of America, not to be confused with South America compared to North America. What is like down there? Because that sounds very traditional. I know I was talking to my brother one time, and he was explaining to me that when he goes to the South, like they get married very early there, and if it goes God, then family, then country, then that would align with a traditional relationships. Maybe people are still getting married and staying married there. I don't know.
Christian means like you're also a dedicated person. Like it's really like serious. So like since I've been maybe 4 or 5 years old, we started doing the Pledge of
By the way, I'm
Allegiance.
trying to figure out where in Tokyo she is. I wonder if this is Roppongi. If any of my people who've been in Tokyo, let me know. I don't know where this interview is being taken place. Looks like Minato-ku, maybe.
Morning. So you've got these like little kids like taking a pledge to a country using words they really don't understand. So like that's something we don't do in Japan public school. Like we don't do that. And so like other countries, they don't have Pledge of Allegiance to their countries. In Texas, they have two. They have a state allegiance to Texas, and then they have one to the USA. So like doing that and then constantly hearing that the USA is the best country. You won't find a better country than the USA. This and that. America is the best, and we're number one, and we're the most free country in the world, you know. But
that's an interesting points. I just want to see what my friend how he finished himself.
ねえ、そのムダ毛
Let me.
One thing I think of is I don't really want to go back to live there. I don't really need to. It's a bit of a circus, in my opinion. Like me, I'm not very
Now,
political.
me and him have talked off stream. I know him because he has a business here in Shibuya. He was live streaming for a bit. He hangs out at this place called Content Corner out in Shibuya. But he is a pretty serious businessman. I haven't talked to him for a little while. Wow, it's been a minute. But what he said is correct there.
So when I see this political stuff happening, I get very conspiracy theorist about it, about like things that are happening on purpose. Like there's a systematic system of school shootings for a reason. It's not
Wait,
just a
what?
I don't really want to go back to live there. I don't really need to. It's a bit of a circus, in my opinion. Like me, I'm not very political.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I will say I am pretty. I wouldn't call it a circus. Well, yeah, I mean, New York, I'm very curious. I haven't been in New York for a while. I'm due for a trip. I'm going to try to go to America this year, guys. I want to do some traveling. Last year was a lot of YouTube. I always, Funk Dad, do you remember this guy? When you were out here, I think you met him, right? Yeah, so, circus. Yeah, I'll have to decide. I may go to Korea sometime, but I have a lot of stuff happening here in Japan. I was considering of going to Korea like in the upcoming week or two, but some stuff is happening here in Japan, so I don't know, guys. But yeah, this guy is pretty cool too.
Political. So when I see this political stuff happening, I get very conspiracy theorist about it, about like things that are happening.
By the way, guys, I'm not in conspiracy at all, but it doesn't mean this guy's not a cool guy.
Like there's a systematic system of school shootings for a reason. It's not just a natural occurrence, you know?
Wow, that's a deep conspiracy. Guys, put a 1 in the chat if you're heard of this or what your thought, if you agree with this somehow. Put a 2 in the chat. If you don't, I personally have never heard of this theory ever in my life.
There's stuff like that happening in the States. So it's like a show, it's a circus. That's how I think of it, and I don't want to participate. So
people are really direct and honest with you all the time, and sort of like American friendships are based on honesty. The people telling each other exactly what they're doing all the time.
Interesting.
But Japanese people try to like save face a little bit, or sometimes they try to not say things that they think will upset you, and this can make it difficult to relate to people in a really close way. So I think America's a good place to make friends.
Living in Japan, again, like it's just so much safer, the daily stress of that.
She
and so
really
when I look
loves
back
the safety here. And she's from Virginia, DMV area?
on my experiences in America, especially, I just don't think that I would feel comfortable moving back. The daily stress of like having to go out and like being careful about time and knowing which routes I want to take, and especially like living in, as a 20s young girl living on my
I
own.
like how
that's
she
a-
avoided saying her age. Guys, you don't have to say your age if you're on camera. I always tell people when I interview them, I'm always like, yo, if you don't want to say your age. So she just said young 20s, early 20s, perfect. Don't say your age. I mean, it's bad enough. I will say if you do want to be a model or actor in Japan, you got to say your age publicly with the other models and actors. I tried it out for a little bit when I moved to Tokyo, and I'm off that, but nice job her saving her face on YouTube.
really big concern for me. I think especially looking from Japan, America does have a lot of like freedom of expression, and like I think people are allowed to be a lot more open with who they are and express themselves in so many different ways. Whereas here, I do think sometimes I have to kind of like not tone myself down, but just make sure I'm expressing myself a bit more appropriately.
She speaks really well, by the way. Yeah, she speaks really well. But yeah, I don't get we'll give this one last guy a chance, but I don't get the feeling any of these people are going back to America. Put a 1 in the chat if you think once you live in Japan, if you lived in Japan, or any other country, let me know in the replay too. If you would want to go back. Now, I think the biggest issue with, and you can let me know in the reaction comments or in the chat right now, I think just summarizing everything up, I think the biggest issue in America for me is that, look, Japan's not a third world country, but it's way more affordable to live. I had my own apartment in New York. People say apartments are expensive, but the problem is I had to do a sales job. Now, if any of you guys are not familiar with B2B sales, like you can't do anything on the side. And to do something like YouTube or figure out some of the technology and stuff, like this big balloon light, whatever thing I have behind me, box light, whatever it's called. You can't be stressed out at work. You got to stress yourself. Guys, life is short. I'll say one thing and then I'll try to wrap it up, is that recently a YouTuber, a young YouTuber, I think the age of 26, I think it started with a K or something, he passed away. And he was wealthy and he had millions of YouTube views and he was working it hard. And, you know, YouTube is a grind. Like, I don't really know it. Like, I did know the grind when I was live streaming every day for 4 months, but right now it's sort of more figuring stuff out. But once you have stuff figured out, then it's a hustle. Like, the advertising doesn't pay much. So YouTube can be a grind, just like a salary job. So I say, like, if someone wants to do content creation, it might make sense to do a salary job. But just the fact that you can't even do something on the side or enjoy your life or be stressed out just to pay the bills, it's different here in Japan. Like, you can work at a convenience store 40 hours a week. You can work 30 hours a week, even like minimum wage, and still be able to afford rent. Not a glorious apartment, but you can have your own apartment, own shower, own kitchen here in Japan. And that's pretty amazing. And then Japan's not even a third world country. And you could go to countries that are a little less well off economically compared to Japan and live even better. So it's not just living in Japan for Americans, it's living abroad for Americans. So, you know, if you like this type of content, I haven't checked, maybe some of you guys have subscribed already, but like, the whole idea for this is, look, I haven't been everywhere. There's a lot of places I haven't gone. I haven't had the time to visit. We have over 200 countries on our planet. So this is a place for us to share information. I learned a lot from my live stream yesterday from the gentleman from Taiwan. They shared about even how to travel. So share any thoughts that you guys have in the replay or in the chat. Facts. Thank you, Funk That. This is a place for us to teach each other so that we don't have to learn for experience. Look, I don't want to wait till I'm 60 years old to like learn how to travel. I don't want to wait till I'm like 50 years old. I don't want to wait till my 40s. I want to learn right now how to travel. And there's a lot of information people have that I don't have. So let's share with each other, guys. Lots of love. I'm so grateful to be in America. I'm so grateful if I ever have to move back. I got my passport. I wish the passport was forever. I wish we didn't have to renew it every so often. Passports come with expiration dates. You know, appreciate America, appreciate life, appreciate your ability to travel. Being young doesn't guarantee life won't end tomorrow. I'm very sad when I hear about people who are no longer with us. I'm a big component of just loving being alive and being grateful for that. So I hope all of you guys have a blessed day. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. I have a lot going on, but I'm very happy I get the chance to live stream and interact with you guys. Thank you for Mercs, Funk That, Sharky, anybody else I might have missed who have talked with me and chatted with me. I got a lot going on in my personal life, you know, family, people I know. There's a lot of people I care for off camera. You know, I like when I meet you guys. So when you visit Japan, I think Mercs or someone said they're visiting Japan, a very real person up front, you know, not scared. You know, I be out here in these streets. Sometimes Japanese people come up to me. Sometimes Americans come up to me, but while live streaming, but it's less. Oh, by the way, violence does happen in Japan. Recently, a streamer got murked. Might do a video on that. One of my viewers informed me about that during my live stream in Shinjuku the other day. But yeah, guys, comments, likes, concerns, questions, recommendations for live streams. feel free to let me know. I haven't eaten anything all day. It's 2 p.m. here, but I love you guys. Lots of love. Thank you for the love, Sharky. Thank you for the mic. I've been using it. All right, guys. Deuces. If you got my direct contact, funk that. Thank you for the comment on the recent video I put up. Love you guys. Thank you for rocking with me. It's been 2 hours. We out of here. Peace.